Real estate exam questions with answers and explanations, part number 7. What is tenancy in common? A. Two owners with unequal shares and no right of survivorship. B. Two owners with equal shares and automatic survivorship. C. A lease for married couples only. D. Ownership that cannot be inherited. Correct answer, A. Two owners with unequal shares and no right of survivorship. In tenancy in common, co-owners may hold unequal interests and can leave their share to heirs. There is no automatic transfer to the other owner at death. For example, one co-owner dies and their 40% share goes to their child, not the surviving owner. This shows how tenancy in common differs from joint tenancy. An agent learns that a buyer has a criminal record that may affect loan approval. What should they do? A. Disclose to seller. B. Keep confidential unless buyer consents. C. Cancel deal. D. Tell neighbors. Correct answer, B. Keep confidential unless buyer consents. Real estate agents must uphold client confidentiality. A criminal record is personal and sensitive. Unless the buyer gives written consent, the agent cannot disclose it, even if it affects the transaction. For instance, the agent found out the buyer had a past felony conviction but did not mention it to the seller without the buyer's permission. This means the agent respected confidentiality and followed professional standards. A seller wants to sell their home off-market. What should the agent consider? A. No listing needed. B. Get a signed agreement and disclose per laws. C. Sell without paperwork. D. Agent sets price alone. Correct answer, B. Get a signed agreement and disclose per laws. Even off-market deals require a signed listing agreement and full legal disclosure. Skipping documents or laws can lead to penalties. For example, the agent helped the seller find a buyer privately but still had the seller sign a listing agreement and followed disclosure rules. This means the agent respected legal duties even without public marketing. The buyer requests to keep a storage shed after closing. What should be done? A. Shed stays by default. B. Negotiate inclusion or removal in writing. C. Seller removes after closing. D. Ignore buyer's request. Correct answer, B. Negotiate inclusion or removal in writing. A storage shed is usually personal property unless attached. The buyer and seller must agree in writing if it stays or goes. For instance, the buyer wanted the shed, so the agent included it in the purchase contract to ensure it stayed after closing. This means the shed status was clearly agreed upon and legally documented. A property is in a flood zone. What disclosure is required? A. None. B. Disclosure and flood insurance recommendations. C. Agent must buy flood insurance. D. Ignore flood zone status. Correct answer, B. Disclosure and flood insurance recommendations. Properties in flood zones must be disclosed. Sellers and agents should also advise buyers to consider flood insurance. For example, the listing agent informed the buyer that the home was in a flood zone and suggested getting flood insurance. This means the agent complied with disclosure laws and protected the buyer's interests. A listing agent is also a licensed appraiser. Can they appraise their own listing? A. Yes, anytime. B. Only with full disclosure and no conflict of interest. C. Never. D. Only after sale. Correct answer, B. Only with full disclosure and no conflict of interest. Appraising your own listing is a potential conflict. It is only allowed if fully disclosed and there's no conflict that affects impartiality. For instance, the agent disclosed in writing that they were also a licensed appraiser and confirmed there was no conflict before conducting the appraisal. This means the agent followed ethical guidelines to avoid any misuse of their dual role. The buyer wants a home warranty included in the sale. What is the agent's role? A. Purchase warranty personally. B. Negotiate inclusion and inform parties. C. Ignore request. D. Cancel contract. Correct answer, B. Negotiate inclusion and inform parties. Home warranties are negotiable items. The agent should present the request, help negotiate terms, and ensure it's in the contract. For example, the agent discussed the buyer's request with the seller, and they agreed to include a 1-year home warranty in the purchase terms. This means the agent helped both parties reach an agreement and made sure it was clearly included in the contract. A buyer discovers the property boundary is different than expected. What should happen? A. Cancel contract immediately. B. Request updated survey or boundary resolution. C. Ignore the discrepancy. D. Agent decides boundary. Correct answer, B. Request updated survey or boundary resolution. If there's a boundary issue, get a new survey or legal resolution before closing. Agents can't assume property lines. For instance, the buyer noticed the fence line didn't match the property map, so the agent recommended getting a new survey to confirm the exact boundaries. This means the issue was handled professionally to protect the buyer's interest and avoid future conflicts. A seller refuses to fix agreed repairs before closing. What can the buyer do? A. Cancel or negotiate credits. B. Do nothing. C. Fix after closing. D. Agent pays for repairs. Correct answer, A. Cancel or negotiate credits. If the seller doesn't complete agreed repairs, the buyer can enforce the contract, cancel, or ask for credits. The agent is not responsible for repairs. For example, the seller didn't repair the roof as agreed, so the buyer negotiated a $3,000 credit or threatened to cancel the deal. This means the buyer used their contractual rights to either seek compensation or walk away from the transaction. The buyer wants a contingency on selling their current home. What does this mean? A. Buyer must sell current home before closing. B. Buyer closes regardless. C. Seller cancels contract. D. Agent approves contingency. Correct answer, A. Buyer must sell current home before closing. A home sale contingency means the buyer's new purchase depends on selling their current home first. It protects the buyer financially. For instance, the buyer added a contingency that the purchase would move forward only if their current home sold within 30 days. This means the deal was conditional on the buyer's ability to sell their existing property first.